Greetings, everyone, and welcome. October the 31st, 2025. Breaking news coming out of Kyiv today. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Vasyl Malyuk, the head of the SBU, has now confirmed that an Oreshnik, a Russian Oreshnik, has been destroyed, and it happened a year ago, and it is just being made public now. In addition to that, President Zelenskyy also talks about what is happening on the battlefronts, and we will listen to that. This video was very difficult to translate. They were speaking quickly in a closed situation. There were some reporters around, but we've done our very best to bring it to you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And with this news, I know that you want to get straight to the video. So let's do that. Zelenskyy, in his own words, this is what you're going to hear. In fact, let me do it this way. This is Vasyl Malyuk. This is the head of the SBU, and he is actually the gentleman speaking that confirms back to Mr. President Zelenskyy that this has happened. Now, of course, President Zelenskyy already knew this, but today is the public announcement, and this is the gentleman talking. So let's go to the Oreshnik announcement first, and then we'll come to Pokrovsk. Let's talk about the Oreshnik. They have strong capability. They have 3 shots, and it's not a secret, right? That's the Oreshnik. Oh, Mr. President, by the way, we've never mentioned this before, but briefly, I can confirm that one of the 3 Oreshnik systems was successfully destroyed on Russian territory at the Kapustin Yar by the forces of the GUR and the SBU. Well, this is important, especially for the future. It was a successful mission. And at that time, we did not say any words about it, and now time has passed and we can talk about it. So they've already used one. One's been destroyed. And by the way, they may have 1, 2, or 3 shots left. But we believe that this year they didn't achieve what they were planning for, which is the production of up to 6 per year. And it's important for our colleagues worldwide. We can look at the maps. They're deploying the Oreshnik in Belarus, and we understand that the Oreshnik has approximately a radius of 5,000 kilometers, and there is a dead zone of the launch of about 700 kilometers. Europeans and those in Eastern Europe, our Baltic friends, and everyone else needs to be aware of the risk because we're provoked to destroy them. Well, hold on. Let me finish, and then you can ask your questions. Listen, it's important to mention about the Oreshnik system so we don't forget. This is crucial. We have a list that we're sharing with our friends. It's vital that everyone supports us with this information. There are 25 Russian manufacturers producing Oreshnik weapons and components every year, but still significant amount of work these companies are doing, and they are not even being sanctioned yet. It's extremely important to sanction these companies. So, guys, we learned a lot from those 2 minutes. First of all, it is Malyuk, this guy here, the head of the SBU, who is confirming. And once again, I remind you, of course, Zelenskyy already knew this, but this was made public today. Going to be very interesting over the next 24 hours, few days to see how Russia responds to this, because Ukraine has basically stated today that they destroyed one of Russia's super weapons. And in fact, in the next video clip, that super army is getting ready to be trolled a little bit from President Zelenskyy. But before we get to that, they're also talking about the companies, production. There are no sanctions on those companies. There is so much information that now the world is privy to and kind of indexing through to understand. There was a lot in that 2 minutes. What happens next? We shall see, and when it unfolds, we'll be right on top of it for you. Now, let's move over here. Zelenskyy, in his own words, he says the Russian Federation has really broken through to Pokrovsk. The situation is difficult, but we are protecting people. A serious battle has begun. And I will tell you, there's lots of conflicting reports and stories. If you're watching this before 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going live at 4 o'clock with Dylan Burns, and we will be talking talking specifically for an hour about Pokrovsk, answering your questions, and getting just a feel of the real front lines from Dylan, who spends a lot of time there. Putin wants to come to Pokrovsk. Yes, please, everyone will applaud, but everyone understands how that will end. If he does, you'll hear Zelenskyy say that in just a moment. The Russian Federation has accumulated, listen to this, 170,000 soldiers in the Pokrovsk direction. He then, of course, we've heard already, I wanted to get to that first, one Oreshnik weapon system been destroyed on Russian territory. We're now just making it public, and the Russian Federation now has the opportunity to fire the Oreshnik up to 6 more times. They don't really know the numbers, to be honest. They're going to place the complex, one of those, in Belarus, and the range is 5,000 kilometers, as you've already heard from Zelenskyy. Now, let's get to Pokrovsk, the battlefront, and here is Zelenskyy talking in his own words. For some reason, we have different viewpoints on the maps of the real combat operations in Ukraine. Now, for Russia, it's perfectly understandable, but Ukraine, Europe, United States of America, you see, the situation in Pokrovsk is difficult. It is where Russia has put so many forces. You know, in that direction, they have 170,000 enemy forces concentrated, and that is a lot, really a lot. And this very morning, I spoke with the commander-in-chief. There are no changes in Pokrovsk. There are Russians in Pokrovsk, and our forces are destroying them. Gradually, we are destroying them because we need to protect our personnel as well. They're just running around and hiding in the buildings, and that's not effective. I don't know, but let's start with one fact, and that is the enemy first declared that they would take Pokrovsk any day now. That was 1 year and 3 months ago. During this time, they've advanced 7 kilometers. This supposedly mega powerful military specialist army of Russians, in quotes, of course, have only advanced 7 kilometers. Listen, guys, you need to understand. It is a serious, serious battle for Pokrovsk. They, the Russians, were tasked with capturing Pokrovsk. They took and go after this city because they could not take Sumy. They couldn't take Kupiansk. And they know that they will lose Kupiansk. Now the cleanup is happening. It's not easy, but the situation is clear. Our forces have reached the river and blocked them. They can't even pass through individually. Not possible. It's difficult, but it's clear they're going to lose. They've already lost, right? Dobropilya situation, Zaporizhia situation is clear too. They'll fight for it desperately, while Putin claims he'll go to Pokrovsk. Well, if he comes to Pokrovsk, we'll all applaud that. We understand how this will end. There you have it, guys. That's about 5 minutes of inside that closed meeting that now, of course, is open. There were some journalists there. You saw Malyuk. You saw the back of Subiga's head. That's the foreign minister of Ukraine when you're looking at Malyuk. And of course, this is meant to go public. This is meant to be heard in Russia and around the world. I've translated it into English. Make sure this is a good one to share because we've heard, okay, Pokrovsk, very difficult battle. And as I said earlier, we'll be focusing on that on the live with Dylan Burns coming up in a few hours. Kupiansk. Zelenskyy giving a different story than it's out there. Listen, we're going to take Kupiansk. We're holding the river. Okay. Then we get about the Russian buildup forces, the information on the Oreshnik, and the breaking news that Ukraine over a year ago destroyed an Oreshnik, and that news never came out. Of course, the Russians wouldn't share it, but the aftermath of these conversations going public will be interesting to watch from all sides. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing. I hope this has given you an inside look into a conversation happened in Ukrainian language and you get to hear it in English. You guys be blessed and thank you.